Tadam, auf was soll ich bei deiner Wohnung achten? No spotlight lasts forever, and sometimes the brightest stars become the loneliest souls when the applause fades into silence. Heather Locklear, once the stunning face and spirit of Hollywood's golden era, captivated the world. But behind that dazzling fame lies a journey few ever saw, marked by invisible wounds, quiet battles, and a love that refused to fade. At 63, she no longer stands on center stage, but in real life, where every day is a fight for healing and survival. What truly happened after the lights dimmed, and why did a woman once adored by millions have to walk through so many years of sorrow in silence? Join Celebs Rewind as we uncover the untold story of a woman who never gave up even when the world stopped watching. A.C.H. Hooker. Wegen der Fenster. Wenn du sie öffnen willst, dann musst du ganz feste dran ziehen. Heather. Dean Locklear was born on September 25th, 1961, in Los Angeles, California, into an educated, disciplined, yet deeply affectionate family. Her father, Bill Locklear, was a former colonel in the United States Marine Corps, and also served as an administrator at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. Her mother, Diane Tinsley, was a television production executive, a woman both sharp in her profession and wholeheartedly devoted to her family. Heather was the youngest of 4 children, following her 2 older sisters Laurie and Colleen and her brother Mark as the youngest. She was cherished. Yet she quickly developed a quiet independence, observing the world with a thoughtful gaze and a sensitive spirit. She wasn't the loudest child in the room, but there was something about her calm demeanor and emotional depth that quietly drew others in. She spent her early years in the peaceful suburbs of California, surrounded by quiet neighborhoods and the steady warmth of family life. Though fame was far from her childhood thoughts, the home environment shaped by her father's discipline, her mother's creativity, and the closeness she shared with her siblings quietly nurtured in Heather a unique inner world. It would later become the foundation for the subtlety, vulnerability, and truth she brought to every role on screen. Heather attended Newbury Park High School, where she stood out not for academic excellence, but for her calm presence, her gentle smile, and her warm, approachable nature among classmates. After graduating, she enrolled at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, the same institution where her father was working at the time. Initially, she chose to major in psychology, a field that reflected her natural empathy and thoughtful observation of others. This choice wasn't simply academic. It spoke to an inner world shaped by sensitivity and care qualities that would later infuse every performance she gave. It was within the open, creative, and expressive environment of UCLA where media, advertising, and artistic activity thrived that Heather began to explore the world of on-camera work. She started with modeling and small commercial roles, at first treating them as extracurricular experiences. But gradually, she discovered a quiet passion for embodying different characters and expressing emotion through performance. Her connection to acting didn't arrive with fanfare or sudden ambition. It was a slow, quiet current that steadily moved through her life and in time. Those seemingly incidental experiences opened a new door, one that led her to the world of performing, not through force or planning, but through something more organic, a calling from within, a quiet resonance that had been growing inside her all along. I don't know what you use to pull this off, you dishonest, self-serving, pathetic drunk. There is no path to glory that does not bear the silent scars left behind for Heather. Locklear acting was never a dream painted by stage lights, but an instinct, a sacred space where she could fully live out emotions that real life often hides while studying psychology at UCLA. Heather began appearing in print advertisements, not in search of fame, but because she was fascinated by how human emotions could be conveyed through just a glance, a fleeting smile on the cover of a magazine. That seemingly simple job became her first classroom, teaching her the art of subtle expression, how to master the camera and understand the harsh world of show business, from shampoo and toothpaste ads to skincare products. Heather gradually became a familiar face among TV producers, opening the first door that would lead her to the small screen. Not long after, she appeared on a few talk shows like The Tonight Show, where Heather left a strong impression with her natural charm and a quiet, captivating calmness. She didn't need to be flashy to stand out. It was that gentleness and depth that made people unable to look away. But the journey to the spotlight was never easy. Before Heather Locklear's name was known to audiences, she endured a long period of playing forgettable roles, unnamed, unnoticed, and seemingly vanished after each scene in series like Chips, 240, Robert and 8 is Enough. Her name was rarely mentioned in the credits. The spotlight was reserved for others, while Heather stood quietly, performed her part, then faded into the background every time she stood in front of the camera. She wasn't just acting. She was quietly hiding the pain of an unrecognized actress with no title, no status, and no idea when the audience might finally remember her name. Then came the turning point. In 1981, Heather was cast as Sammy Jo Carrington in Dynasty, a role initially intended for just a few episodes, but with sharp instincts and eyes full of layered emotion. Heather breathed new life into Sammy Jo. The character quickly became an icon of fierce, sharp women who were also deeply wounded. Heather wasn't just kept on the show. She became a highlight of the entire series. In 1983, she won the Bravo Otto Award, proof of the love she received from international audiences, officially elevating Heather Locklear beyond the borders of American television. From that springboard, Heather continued to prove her talent through a series of impressive roles. She solidified her status as Officer Stacy Sheridan in T.J. Hooker, 1982 to 1986, starring alongside William Shatner, a character that balanced reason and emotion, strong yet still feminine. That subtle contrast helped her become a rare female icon in a genre dominated by men. At the same time, Heather gradually stepped into the world of film, most notably in Money Talks, 1997, an action comedy alongside Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen. Although not in a leading role, Heather left a mark with her captivating presence and natural acting style, showing that she was more than just a small screen star. She could shine on the big screen when needed, but all those achievements, from supporting to leading roles, from television to film, were just stepping stones for Heather's true breakthrough with Melrose Place, a show that aired from 1992 to 1999. Joining in the second season, 1993, Heather quickly became the soul of the entire series. Amanda Woodward, a character initially meant to be a temporary side role, was transformed by Heather's cold elegance, intelligent gaze, and emotionally rich performance into the center of all the drama. A television icon of the 90s, from 1994 to 1997, Heather received 4 consecutive Golden Globe nominations for this role, a rare feat for any TV actor not stopping at drama. Heather continued to expand into sitcoms, appearing in Spin City, From 1999 to 2002 as Caitlin Moore, a smart, sharp, and emotionally intelligent woman. She paired perfectly with Michael J. Fox, forming one of the most beloved on-screen duos of that era. This role earned her 2 more Golden Globe nominations in 2002, 002, raising Heather's total career nominations to 6 Talent Beauty Relentless Effort. All helped Heather Locklear secure her place among the irreplaceable icons of American television, a journey not paved with roses, but woven from faith, strength, and astonishing resilience. Yet was the spotlight truly enough to hide all the quiet wounds? Or did that very light expose the darkest corners of her soul, where no one could see behind the dazzling stage? Heather Locklear had to face another journey. One more. Brutal, lonelier, and filled with more pain than any role she had ever played. And from here the real story begins. Was on a pull-out couch in like the family room. But we would never allow him to go to bed until we were ready. We're going. There's perhaps nothing more heartbreaking than falling apart in full view of the world, especially when deep inside a woman is just trying to survive one fragile day at a time. Heather Locklear, once the golden icon of prime time, television lived a life so radiant that it seemed darkness could never reach her. But behind the glimmering spotlight and magazine covers, reality was quietly unraveling. Her life became a portrait of invisible pain, stitched together with unspoken scars and private breakdowns hidden beneath the surface of a public image. Her first marriage to wild rocker Tommy Lee began in 1986, a union that at first glance seemed like a dazzling fairy tale between 2 celebrities from different worlds. She was the elegant television queen, and he the unpredictable drummer of Motley Crue. Their chemistry was undeniable, and their early days together were painted with glamour and spontaneity. But over time, the disparity between Heather's emotional needs and Tommy's rebellious lifestyle began to widen. His chaotic rhythm and relentless pursuit of freedom clashed with Heather's yearning for grounding and emotional stability. She tried to hold the relationship together, pouring in patience and love, but it was like trying to repair a ship with water pouring through every crack. By 1993, after 7 turbulent years, the marriage ended, not with fireworks, but with quiet devastation. It was not just a divorce. It was the crumbling of a dream that Heather had desperately tried to protect. Still, she pressed forward, believing love would return in another form. And it did, in Richie Sambora, guitarist of Bon Jovi. Richie was different. He brought calmness and quiet, strength, offering Heather a refuge from the high-octane whirlwind she had just escaped in 1997. They welcomed a daughter, Ava, who would soon become Heather's everything for a while. This new family life seemed to promise healing. Ava's arrival gave Heather a reason to breathe again, to feel hope, to believe in beginnings. But the pressures of 2 demanding careers, emotional drift and unresolved pain, gradually corroded that sanctuary. Their divorce in 2006, although less publicized, was another heartbreak that quietly shook Heather's foundation. Then came the blow that she never saw coming. Denise Richards, Heather's longtime friend and confidant, began dating Richie not long after the split, though the relationship may have started after Heather and Richie's official separation. It felt like betrayal wrapped in salt. The sting wasn't just about romance. It was the loss of a friendship. She had leaned on someone who once felt like a sister. It shattered her trust alone. And emotionally raw, Heather began to retreat from public life and in the quiet, the darkness crept in over the next decade. Her struggles intensified. Anxiety and depression gripped her more tightly than any tabloid could have imagined. The woman, once idolized for her poise and charm, was now silently falling apart from 2008 to 2019. Heather entered rehabilitation facilities more than 20 times. Each visit sparked a flicker of hope among her family, her fans, and Heather herself. But recovery is not linear. It is 2 steps forward and 1 painful stumble back. Despite her efforts, relapses occurred, and each one chipped away at her self-belief. Then ensued. 18. A disturbing moment was caught by the public eye. Heather was seen walking along the edge of a rooftop in Malibu, speaking to herself. Lost and disoriented witnesses were shaken, describing her movements as fragile and uncertain. The image wasn't one of spectacle. It was a cry for help, a portrait of a woman crumbling under the weight of her own battles. It marked a turning point, a moment when the world could no longer deny the depth of her suffering. At the same time, she rekindled her relationship with her high school sweetheart, Chris Heiser. What began as a nostalgic connection quickly turned into something far more complex. Their relationship was marked by love, but also by volatility. In 2018, a domestic incident at her home required police intervention. It further intensified concerns about her mental health and well-being. Yet against all odds, Heather and Chris stayed together. In 2020, they quietly became engaged, choosing commitment in the face of public doubt. Their bond was not polished or perfect, but it was real, a raw testament to endurance and forgiveness. Through it all, Ava remained the unshakable, constant Heather's daughter. Now a young woman became both her mother's mirror and lifeline. Ava spoke openly about her admiration for Heather's strength, her vulnerability, and her courage to keep fighting. Their bond, tested by circumstance, only grew stronger in moments of despair. It was Ava who reminded Heather why she had to keep going in 2020. Heather celebrated 1 year of sobriety. She marked the milestone not with fanfare but with a heartfelt post-addiction. Is ferocious, but recovery is the best revenge. It was a simple sentence, but one packed with truth, a reflection of everything she had endured, and a vow to never stop trying. Yet recovery is rarely a straight path. In 2023, reports surfaced suggesting Heather was again struggling with addiction. The media speculated, friends worried, but this time there was a shift. No one demanded perfection. Those who loved her understood healing is not about never falling. It is about continuing to rise. Then, in mid-2024 came a loss that no rehab or support system could soften: the passing of Heather's father, Bill Locklear. He had been battling illness for some time, but the final goodbye still felt abrupt. Heather wrote of him on Instagram, calling him the smartest man I've ever known, and the love of my life. His death left her gutted. It wasn't just the loss of a parent. It was the vanishing of a safe place, a pillar she had leaned on in silence, someone who had believed in her through every rise and fall. The grief was deep, yet in the quiet aftermath, Heather found strength. Not to collapse, she chose to keep going. Not because it was easy, but because Ava still needed her, because her father would have wanted her to, and because somewhere deep within, she still believed in healing. Today, Heather Locklear no longer chases the spotlight. She no longer needs applause or public validation. She lives each day with a quiet kind of courage, one that asks for nothing, yet gives everything. Chris remains by her side, a gentle companion who has seen her at her worst and chosen to stay. Ava remains the heartbeat of her world, a living legacy of everything Heather has fought to protect. She doesn't seek perfection. She seeks peace, and in doing so she has found something far more enduring than fame. Grace, and perhaps it is this, the resilience that speaks in whispers, the courage that lives behind closed doors, that has made Heather Locklear more unforgettable than any role she has ever played. Let's see. Well, she's done a lot of things, but I think the most outrageous would be that, she keeps her clothes as Heather Locklear steps into the newest chapter of her life. The spotlight no longer chases her every move, but in its place is something far more meaningful. Self-awareness, quiet resilience, and a deep commitment to healing. The world once knew her as the radiant star of Melrose Place, the captivating face of Spin City. But today, she is simply Heather, a woman who has endured heartbreak, lived through storms, learned hard lessons, and above all, never stopped moving forward. The legacy she now carries is no longer measured by red carpets or glossy magazine covers, but rather by the grace and steadiness with which she has faced every storm, each stumble, every tear, and every effort to rise again has become a powerful chapter in a story that resonates with anyone who has ever fought silent battles of their own. Sometimes strength does not roar. It simply survives. In recent years, Heather has chosen a quieter, more contemplative life, far removed from the noise of Hollywood. She finds solace in simplicity in nature and in the warmth of family. Her relationship with her daughter Ava, who is now embarking on her own journey into the world of modeling and media, remains the heart of Heather's world. Their bond, forged through life's most difficult moments, is a profound testament to unconditional love and deep mutual respect. Chris Heiser, her longtime partner and fiancé, remains quietly by her side. Their relationship has endured scrutiny, personal challenges, and the long process of emotional healing in a world that idolizes perfection. Their story serves as a reminder that love grounded in forgiveness and genuine companionship can weather even the fiercest storms. They are not a fairy tale couple, but perhaps that makes their love all the more real and precious. In terms of her artistic journey, Heather has never officially closed the door to acting, though her appearances are rare. She has voiced interest in roles that carry deeper meaning. Stories of redemption, second chances, and resilient women who refuse to let their past define their future. It is not just an artistic preference, but a powerful reflection of her own life story. What inspires most about Heather Locklear is her courage in revealing her most vulnerable truths in a world so quick to judge weakness. She has chosen honesty about addiction, about mental health, about the uneven road to recovery. Her openness has not only deepened the public's admiration, but offered comfort and connection to countless others walking a similar path. Heather Locklear's story is far from over. In truth, she may only now be entering its most sincere and profound chapter, no longer defined by fame or failure. She walks forward with a calm heart, a soul forged in adversity, and a gaze softened by forgiveness. She may never return to the limelight of old, but what she holds now is far more precious peace. And perhaps that is what we all truly long for, not to be remembered for how brightly we once shined, but for the courage to keep going, even when the light begins to fade. In that quiet glow, Heather Locklear may now shine more beautifully than ever before. It's my first one, and hopefully it'll be successful, and eventually I can do another. There are stories that dazzle with glamour, and then there are those that quietly glow with silent truths. The life of Heather Locklear belongs to the latter, not because she was spared from pain, but because she never stopped reaching for the light, no matter how long the darkness lingered. This is not simply the story of a Hollywood star once admired by the world, but the journey of a woman who dared to live truthfully in a world that constantly demanded perfection. A woman who chose to keep walking even when the path was scattered with shards of pain. Heather was once cherished for her beauty, her striking presence, and iconic roles in Melrose Place and T.J. Hooker. But it is her quiet strength, her honesty in the face of vulnerability, and her courage to weather life's storms that have left the deepest mark on audiences. More than just an actress, Heather Locklear is a symbol of perseverance and undying hope to many. Heather is no longer just a familiar face from television. She has become a mirror, reflecting the fragility and resilience within us all. In her tears, we see our own sorrow. In her stumbles, we recognize our own struggles, and in her unwavering fight to reclaim her life, we discover the hopeful truth. It is never too late to heal. Heather has shown us that true beauty lies not in perfection, but in the quiet determination to overcome life's storms with grace and resolve. Today, Heather Locklear may no longer be a name splashed across tabloids, but her story is far from over. It continues through her unwavering bond with her daughter Ava, in the peaceful simplicity she now embraces, and in the hearts of those she has inspired in silence, for those who have followed her path, not just through red carpets, but through turbulent turns. Heather Locklear's life stands as a powerful reminder. The journey to healing is never a straight road. A person's true worth lies not in fleeting fame, but in the enduring strength to rise through every storm, and to be remembered with love will always be far more sacred than momentary praise. As we close this chapter, we do not look at Heather with pity, but with deep respect, because her story is not one of decline, but one of endurance, of second chances, and of the quiet beauty that shines when someone chooses not to give up. Heather Locklear is not just a name from the past. She is a voice that still echoes in the present, gentle, steady, and filled with grace.